Hi, everybody. I'm so excited for this project that I'm bringing you today. I'm going to make my Christmas cards on my embroidery machine. And you know, I love crafting and card making, but this is a first for me. Yes, I've sewn on cardstock before. In fact, we've done whole classes where we are sewing on the front of our cards, but I've never hooped up paper before. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do here today. Welcome. Please let me know where you're joining in from this hour. We're having so much fun doing so many great projects. I am starting with this great little Christmas bundle. This is a half-yard bundle, and we've got all of our Christmas fabric on 25% off. So please take advantage of so many savings today. We're also doing 10% off all Janome machines. And so if you've been in the market for an embroidery machine, the 550E, the Janome S9, which is a dual sewing and embroidery machine, we're taking an extra 10% off all Janome machines. So you can be doing cute, fun projects like this too. I'm going to show you what I've got going here. So I've printed out the instructions from our friends at OESD. And guess what? You are going to get a free file. So the card that I'm making today, all you have to do is say, send it to me in the comments and share this live. And we will email you the link so that you can download the Joy card. And that's the one that we're making today. And this file has like you can make any of these cards. In fact, these are just 3 of them. In the actual collection, there's a whole bunch of these cards. In fact, I was just like, look at them all. I was debating which one I should do because there's so many cute ones. The one that was sort of the second runner was the one with the gift, the bow. It's a little hard to see here, but the bow is so, so cute. And then the base of the card is like the box of the present. Anyway, I'm going to do the Joy one here. And our friends at OESD have generously offered to give all of you a free Christmas card file if you want to try making these on your embroidery machine. You just need to leave the comment. What did I say? You give me one? Yes, I'll take the free file. Something like that in the comments, and share this live. And we are going to email you the link to that. Actually, you should probably leave your email address too if we don't already have it in our system. Okay, let's get going because we've only got an hour here. So I'll set aside my bundle. I'm going to use this cute little pine cone Christmas fabric. It's soft and subtle. And what we're doing here today is making lace. I'm going to make this lace overlay, the word Joy, and then we're going to stitch the fabric right to our card in the hoop. And then the machine's going to take care of putting all these little stitched bells and holly along. So some things you'll need. Sticky water-soluble stabilizer, and that's what I've got here, and I'm going to hoop it up, and that's what I'm going to stick my cardstock to. And you need some fabric, you need a bunch of different color threads, and you need some regular old water-soluble stabilizer like Fabri-Solvi, and we've got lots of this in stock in the shop, so stock up while there's good deals going on. This is what we're going to make the lace on. So the first thing I did here to kind of get it going was these are either A7 or A4 or A6 size cards. And if we're looking on the OESD website, which, by the way, we're going to put some links up because OESD, our friends at Embroidery Online, they've got 40% off today. Isn't that amazing? So we'll put some links up because look at all of the amazing Christmas embroidery files you can be doing. Like, they've got so many, and this is just Christmas. If you're tuning in a little later on, you'll see I'm doing one more at the gingerbread house. This one here, the freestanding sugar chalet, that's coming up. But isn't that just so gorgeous? 40% off all of these files if you use our links, and we'll put them in the comments. So 40% off. I know we're bringing you tons of deals while we're making these projects. So 40% off that. But I also wanted to show you that OESD also has blank greeting cards that are made for your embroidery machine. So go ahead and take advantage of the sale, and maybe you'll want to pick up some of these cards yourself. So that's very cool. Love OESD. We use them for almost all of our events because the files are reliable, they're beautiful, and we don't run into any trouble with sizing or anything like that. So head on over to oesd.com. We're putting some links in the chat so you can shop around over there and get some good deals from them too. So because I don't have any of those cards, I need to shop myself. I made my own A7, which is a 5x7 card. And I did that by just gluing one side to the other. Just measure it out, the 5x7, and I just left a little extra ½ inch, and I'm going to glue that down there. I'm going to let that sit and dry while I hoop up my stabilizer for the rest, because eventually this is going to need to get hooped up, and I want this glue to be nice and stable by the time we get to that stage. So there's that. The cardstock will be sitting and waiting. I'll set that aside. The first thing we need to do is hoop up the water-soluble stabilizer. Now, I'm going to tell you, I went ahead and prepped I'm just going to cut this so we can see it, because I've already started stitching out the lace for the joy, and I've got about 12 minutes left on it. And since we only have an hour here, this was 49 minutes, this stitch out. And, the rest is, isn't no time either. But just so you have an idea, I'm stitching with just like the same thread in the bobbin as I've got on the top. We've got the Polyfast in sort of that nice creamy white. And what I'm doing here is just making lace. And I'm stitching into the water-soluble stabilizer. The file is taking care of making sure that the actual design is stable. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in the machine so it can continue stitching out while we prep the rest of this card. So I've got that one on the S9, and I'm going to do the rest on the 550E. Press start, and let me know if you can hear me over top of the goings on. We're going to have a real sweatshop moving here. Lots of machines going. So the first thing you want to do is bring your design to your machine. So download it from OESD. You'll get it. You'll get all the file formats. Yes, someone's asking in the comments, will we get, what if I don't have a Janome machine? No problem. All of the OESD files come in all of the different formats. If you have a Janome machine, you're going to choose a .jef file, and that's what I've chosen here. And I've gone ahead and brought the design to my machine using my USB stick. Now, maybe your machine, the S9, has Wi-Fi, and it'll just shoot over from your iPad or whatever you're using. This one, you need to bring it via USB stick, which is no big deal. You just plunk the design from your downloads into your EMB folder on your USB stick. And if you're having trouble, try putting your USB stick in your machine first, and then bring it over so that it's formatted with an EMB folder. Anyway, so once you've got it in here, it's all called up. Make sure you've got your correct hoop size chosen. This is a big, big deal. Yes, you've got the right size hoop for the project, but also make sure you've told your machine what hoop size you're using. I'm using the cloth setter here, and I'm hooping up. You need at least a hoop that will take 5 by 7, 5 inches by 7 inches. And I'm loading my hoop on the cloth setter. And this is just going to allow me to center the design and not have to hold on to the hoop. So I can take this out. This stays like nice and secure while I'm hooping up my stabilizer. And for this part, I'm using a sticky stabilizer because I'm going to, that cardstock needs to stick down to something. And so this is what I'm using. It's kind of low tack, so it's not going to ruin the cardstock at all. So let's just get this in here to start. And I'm going to go paper side up. So the cloth part is facing down. And I'm just going to line it up so I've got a little bit of overhang. And then put the hoop back in. It's nice. I can have one side going while I'm doing this. Luxury. Oh, is it done or did I shred the thread? Oh, thread break. Okay, we'll leave that for a second. All right. So I want to make sure this is loose enough that I can get my design in. And I'm going to just use some paper scissors here and just trim off. I want to make sure I've got about 1 inch of overhang. And then it's just going to make it a little bit easier for me to like maneuver around the small space. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'm going to keep working here, but we've got members of the homemade team on who will answer questions as we go, and I'll go back through the comments after too. All right, so yes, I'm hooping it up with the paper, and then I'm going to take the paper off after, sort of revealing the sticky part underneath. I'm not going to worry too much about that fold. That's no big deal. And you see how the cloth setter, it allows me the freedom to use both hands to get this nice and secure and knowing what's in the center. Like always knowing what my center point is. So when you're hooping something up, like your actual fabric or a design, you know exactly where your needle is going to fall there. Plus, this is nice and secure, so you can use your hands for other things. So the cloth setter, it's going to fall under the 10% off category. Any irons, machines, the cloth setter, an extra 10% off. So if you've been wanting a cloth setter, now's a good time to go ahead and order one, and we'll get it off to you. I can't recommend it enough. It's big and kind of clunky, but worth its weight in gold. So I'll say that about the cloth setter. You guys have seen me use it over the years for almost everything. Once you have one, you use it every time you hoop something up. Okay, so I've got the exposed paper here, and just gently with my paper scissors, I'm just running a line across. I'm not cutting through the back. I'm just cutting through the paper so I can expose that sticky stabilizer. And when you're doing anything, when you're hooping any projects like this up, you might be wondering, well, how's it going to know where the cardstock is? How's it going to know where to put the stitches? When you're doing projects like this, there's something called placement lines. And what the machine does is it gives you, before it's time to put down the cardstock or before it's time to put down the fabric, whatever it is that you're using, it will give you a placement line. It'll stitch it in thread so that you can see exactly where it wants you to line up the cardstock or the fabric or whatever it is so that it knows exactly where to put the stitches. So you are working with the machine to kind of pull this thing off. Okay, so that's hooped up. I'm going to get some thread in my machine, and I'll use a darker thread so that you guys can see it a bit easier. I think probably the first, I'm going to look at my machine here and see what thread colors it's telling me we're going to have to use. So if I press OK, it's going to get me ready to start embroidering here. Raise the presser foot. Okay, no problem. Okay, keep the hands clear. And so, and number one, like the first one is a dark thread, and that's likely because it's a placement stitch. And if I just kind of page over, I can go down the line and see. So I need, you know, this dark one, I need green, and then you can kind of see where it's going to. And then it's going to do the line work in the end. So I brought a bunch of different thread colors up. All right, so the card placement line. So I'm going to go ahead and put this red one in so that you guys can see it a little more clearly. And why don't, looking for the spool cap here. They're always missing, or there it is, on the floor somewhere. So what kinds of things are you working on? Are you doing anything on your embroidery machine for Christmas? If you are, let me know in the comments. And definitely, if you're in the Homemade with Jennifer Tryon Facebook group, post some pictures of what you're making. We'd love to see it. People are always coming in the shop and showing us what they've turned the fabric into. But if you're not close enough to come in and visit us in person, then post it in the group. So everyone can see what you're up to and get inspired by what you're making. Okay, I'm threaded. I'm using Deco Bob in the bobbin. And we talk a lot about Deco Bob for piecing quilts because it's an 80 weight. It's very, very thin and very strong. But you can use it in your embroidery machine too if you're wanting to reduce bulk. And because this particular project, I don't need to see the back. I'm going to use Deco Bob in the bobbin. And I am going to switch to a blue tip needle. I've got a purple tip in here right now. I should have noticed that. Purple tip is great for when you are, when you're doing, just hang on, I got to run to get a new needle. But purple tip is great for if you're doing something really heavy or you have finicky fabric, you know, something like that. Blue tip is what you're going to want to use in your embroidery machine most often. Now, if you were going through leather or if you were embroidering into the base of a rope bowl or something like that, then a purple tip needle would be perfect. But when it's just sort of regular, and you know, we're just going through cardstock here, very, very thin in terms of like material standards, it's going to puncture easily. So we're going to be just fine with a blue tip needle. I will save that purple tip though, because it's still good. So what's going to happen first here is we're going to have a placement line put in. And what I'm going to do is just move the machine over a little bit so that you guys can see it in the overhead and from the front. And you'll be able to see some of those placement lines that we're talking about. Okay, so all I really need to do is press start. Oh yeah, and lower the presser foot. And just kind of be on standby after those 3 first stitches to trim that thread so that it doesn't end up. And these are just loose stitches that are not going to stay. They're not going to show. They're not part of the design. It's literally telling me where to place the cardstock. So that's the placement line. So there's no special laser or anything like that. We're always working with thread here. And now you can take your design out of your machine. Just don't take your project out of your hoop. You can take the hoop off the machine. It'll remember where to pick it up. Just don't take your project out of the hoop. And now when we're trying to hoop up the actual cardstock, this is where this placement line comes in so handy. Now, this is pretty dry on here. I'm just folding it on that score line. So we've got lots of room. And I'm going to lay down the front of the card. I think this side's a bit nicer, so I'll use this as the front. Kind of have a bit of a glue fingerprint on the back. All right, so see how if I lay it right inside those stitches, it's going to now know where everything else is. Okay, I'm going to hoop it back up. And I got to be honest with you, I do always feel very afraid at this point. I'm always a little like, please let it work. And this time is no different. This time is no different. Okay, part of the instructions here are that they give you a template for your design, for your fabric, because this is both freestanding lace and freestanding applique. So these are all the different cards, and all of these templates are what they want you to cut a piece of fabric to place on your project. So I'm going to go ahead with paper, scissors, and cut out this template. And then from my fabric, so essentially what it wants us to do, and it gives you the instructions because all of the cards are built in the same way. So we've already done this step. And what it wants us to do now is to trace out, and it's going to put a placement stitch where it wants us to put the fabric that's going to come. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the thread to a lighter color now, just in case it shows. Just in case. So I'm switching to, I'm using all Wonderfill Polyfast. This is a beautiful embroidery thread. And if you're choosing thread from your stash, make sure when you're embroidering, you choose something likely that has a bit of a sheen to it. Like a 40 weight polyester, a 30 weight rayon. These are the kinds of threads that you want to use for anything decorative. They're not as strong as cotton, and that makes them perfect for decorative stitches. And plus they've got that shine. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the presser foot down, and we're going to stitch out one more. And I'm just going to make sure I'm snipping that thread so I don't stamp over it. And look at how it has no problem on that paper. And so now with my fabric, this is exactly, pretty close to what I've just cut out here. I can go ahead and kind of rough cut out of the fabric I'm going to use on the front of this card this circle. So I'm just going to pin it in place. On the instructions, it said use like a fusible web and you could iron it on, but I'm skipping that step. And let's hope I don't live to regret it. Grabbing the fabric scissors, they're over here, sorry. Well, they were over here. Come on, fabric scissors, where are you? All right, I'll use the paper and, oh well. I usually have that red Janome scissor kit sitting around, but you know, things wander off. Mostly I don't put them away and then, but we can suffer through. This just needs to be a rough cut anyway. Because what's gonna happen here, so let me get a better size piece to work with. Okay. Now, if I would have had the fusible on the back of this, then I could have ironed it to the front of my card. We could put a little spray adhesive, like basting spray on the back of this fabric. That way, when I stick it to the card, it's really gonna stick down. And you can see, I'm literally just rough cutting this. There's basting spray sitting somewhere. Oh, there's the scissors. I found the scissors as I was looking for the basting spray. Go figure. The other thing you can do is if you have some low tack tape, you can, I should have had this ready. You can put that on too, but I'm going to go ahead and take that off right now. And the machine is telling me to put the green thread in now. So I'm going to take off the white, snip it here. A good rule of thumb is to snip your fabric up here and pull the thread this way instead of pulling it out like that. It's better for your machine health. All right, let's find the green. And a lot of embroidery is just threading your machine and letting it do the heavy lifting. I know a lot of people who enrolled in Embroidery 101. It was sort of the biggest thing they learned, especially if they'd never embroidered before, was, you know, the machine does 90% of the work. It's really what we go over in Embroidery 101 is, you know, how you can deliver the machine the best hoop for the best outcome. Choosing the right stabilizer, choosing the right thread, that kind of thing. All right, so now I have not secured this down because I don't know what I did with my tape. All right, so I'm just gonna watch it here. Lower the presser foot, got it. All right, few stitches, and I'm gonna snip that thread. It's giving me this nice blanket stitch around here. Now I'm gonna be careful to keep my hands out of the way. I'm stopping it here because I'm just pressing this down. I want to make sure it lays nice and flat. So sorry for the bad camera angle, but just for a second. we go. Good. All right, next up, it wants the white. So I can snip my thread, pull it down, switch back to the white. And so remember, if you're just joining in, I'm making Christmas cards, yes, on the paper, in the hoop on my embroidery machine. So if you have an embroidery machine and maybe you never thought about using paper with it, I just added a piece of fabric to the front. And everybody who's watching here, our friends at OESD, are generously giving you all this embroidery file for free. So if you leave us a comment that you would like the file, we will email it to you, and you can be making a couple of these. All right. So we're going through some of the decorative stitches now. While that's working, I'm going to get my other machine threaded again. And so you can see it's just taking care of doing it all itself. Sort of like when you have a new baby and you just sort of sit and watch it sleeping. That's what happens with the embroidery machine. You kind of sit and watch it work. So if you are interested in getting an embroidery machine, the 550E is an embroidery only machine. And the other machine I'm using here today is the S9, which is a dual sewing and embroidery machine, which means you can switch between sewing and embroidery mode. And so here, this is where I'm making the lace for the front of the card. So I'm just rethreaded it after that little thread break. Did it say it broke it again? And I'm just out of bobbin thread. That's why it keeps telling me that it's broken. So I'm just going to switch and get another bobbin spool. When you're doing any freestanding lace, like we're doing on the S9 here, it goes through a lot of thread because remember, we're making lace, so there's no fabric at all, so it uses up a lot of thread. So the Deco Bob pre-wound bobbins are perfect for that. You've got all of these great, you know what, like if we were to be sewing this on our regular sewing machine, even with our decorative stitches, it would be very difficult to be so precise. And you got to love that about the embroidery machine, just how accurate it always is. So you're watching our 24-hour craft along marathon, and we've got projects going on all day long, all night long, so you can keep tuning in. And right now we're making Christmas cards on the embroidery machine, and I hope you'll stay tuned in because we've got lots of amazing deals, amazing projects, free patterns as the day goes on. So just a few more minutes left here. You can see in the shop or online, we've got a whole savings tree happening. If you need your machine cleaned, if it's been a while since you've had it serviced, meaning, you know, if you haven't brought it in within the year, it's time. You want to keep your machine in good working order. It'll last a long time. We've got 50% off machine cleaning, 25% off all of our Christmas fabrics, and that includes the fat quarter bundles and yardage. If you've got a bunch of quilt tops sitting at home and they're just waiting to be quilted, and when will you have the time, and maybe you don't have the throat space, why don't you ship them to us or bring them in and we will long arm them for you. We've got 20% off long arming. If you're shipping it to us, we will send you a shipping label and we'll work all that out. So you can ship it to us a little less expensively than if you were to mail it or use your own shipping. We get some good shipping discounts. And we've got 10% off machines, all Janome machines. That includes the cloth setter that I used. And we've got another 10% off irons. You know, I love my reliable irons. So they're another 10% off. And we are working at max capacity here for the Christmas cards. Now, if you had a machine that had some bigger hoops, if you have the M7, for example, you could be making the lace, you know, you could be making 3 or 4 or 5, 6 in the big hoop all at one time. And you could just set it, assuming there was no thread breaks, go to bed and come down in the morning and all of your lace will have been made. Fingers crossed. It's actually only worked one time I did that. Because, you know, I run out of bobbin thread or blah, blah, blah. You kind of need to tend to it. We're getting into it's stitching out the word joy now. Yay. Cool. So it's going to kind of echo that joy pattern that is on the lace that is going to lay over top of it. Very cool. I wanted to point out, Janome is having its big holiday sale too. Now we are taking another 10% off machines, but let's take a look while we have a second here at, can we do this while all those machines are going? All right, let's do it like this. Janome has a holiday gift guide if you go to their website, and it looks like this. And you can see a lot of their big name machines are on special pricing for the holidays. $16,288. There's the 550E, $29.99. That Skyline S9 that we're using, $42.99. Artistic Digitizer, you can get a bonus when you buy any embroidery machine. You can get the Artistic Digitizer for $7.99 when you are getting an embroidery machine. And this is the software that lets you design your own embroidery files. Here's the new M8. This is the one with the stitch regulator and the 13 inches of throat space, 450 built-in stitches. The touch screen, you know, this is the new #1 machine. Comes with that stitch regulator for free motion quilting, $65.99. The 6700P $26.99. And then we've also got holiday pricing on all of the Janome Aero sewing furniture that fit Janome machines perfectly. So maybe you've already got a machine that you love, but you'd love to be able to maximize your workspace. You can email us at info@homemade.ca if you have any questions about any of these machines, any of the sewing furniture. We can work out a great deal for you. You know, I always try to get you guys the best deals I possibly can. This is the other new machine, the 9480, and it has the optional stitch regulator. And the stitch regulator is on sale, so you don't have to get the stitch regulator with it, but it's on sale for the holidays, $7.99. As a Black Friday special, we're going to throw the stitch regulator in for free. So we're going to pick up the cost of the stitch regulator, which is regular $12.99. They've got it on sale for $7.99. But if you buy the 9480 and you want the stitch regulator, we're going to throw it in free. The Air Thread serger, $16.49. And the Cover Pro, if you're always wanted a cover hem machine, $17.29. This is the big new one. It does 5 threads. Beautiful. The FA4 serger. And then we're getting down into these, you know, we love these machines. Beautiful first-time machines or first upgrade machines. And I love these as a second machine for a quilt guild or retreats. Or if you're wanting to get a young person into sewing and they don't need the whole, you know, granddaddy machine, any one of these here would be great for anyone to get as a gift for Christmas. We've got them in stock. Let us know. We'll ship it off to you. We're even doing free gift wrapping on any machine, on anything that you say is a gift. So go ahead and email us if you need some help picking or need any advice. I think our lace is done. Yes. Okay. I'm going to unhoop this. All right, isn't that so cool? Pop it out. Now you'll notice that I doubled up my water-soluble stabilizer. You don't have to do that. I just find it keeps everything lying nice and flat. And so I've just come over the years to always double it up. But before I submerge this in water, I found my scissors, so I should use the fabric scissors here. We just had these scissors on, no, we're going to have these scissors. Yeah, we had these scissors on TSC yesterday. And so if you're wanting the scissor kit, they're on crazy sale on tsc.ca. You can check them out, the Janome scissor kit, or you can email us and we can help you get them too. But that's an easy, quick way to get the scissors is head on over to tsc.ca and you'll find the Janome scissor kit. We did a whole demo on them. Okay, raise the presser foot. Now it's time for the bells. Okay, so I'm just going to change the thread so that this can keep working before I get to the big reveal on the water-soluble stabilizer. And I'm going to use this sort of gold color. In the project, they used red, but I'm sort of less of a red and green type. You know, you do what you like. I'll do what I like. So I'm going to use this and maybe I'll regret it, but maybe it'll be good. So now we're finished with the stitching on the actual, well, maybe there's a little bit more. I think we're finished with the stitching on the fabric and we're going to do the bells that are off to the side on the actual paper. Okay. Okay, a few stitches and then stop, snip, and off we go. Okay, while that's stitching out, so if you're at home, obviously you would just take this to your sink, but I'm here, so I've just brought over a little jug of water. And I've got some paper towels. And what I'm going to do with this lace, you can see it's you know, same thread on both sides, as I'm just going to dunk it right in the water. And that's going to melt away all of that water-soluble stabilizer. And you can just leave it, or you can help it. You can kind of, you know, it'll come right away. Let's leave it for a second. Let it, see it in there? Oh boy. There we go. There. Now I'm just going to flatten it out. I'll just dry it for a second on this paper towel. Use a regular towel so you're not wasting. Oh, I had a little thread break here. All right, so I'm gonna, or maybe I ran out of bobbin thread. I think maybe that's it. I'm just gonna check underneath. Yeah, I ran out of bobbin thread. So that's fine. Even in the middle of a design, I'm gonna take the thread out of this one. Even in the middle of a design, it's fine to stop and take the hoop off. Now, you will see though, that it went a few stitches. Can I show you here? It went a few stitches. So I've got some holes in my paper. So I guess this is a word to the wise. Make sure you've got a full bobbin. But there's a lot of stitching happening. So if you run out of bobbin thread, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back maybe 20 or 30 stitches so that we go over that part again and we don't miss out on any stitching. So on your machine, let's just get it threaded back up first. On your machine, there is underneath the design a little plus and minus. And I'll give you a close-up of it so you can see me do it. There's a little plus and minus on your machine, and that is what stitch, that's your stitch count. So I've got a few little tails here because of the thread break. I'm going to snip them so we don't go back over them. And I'm just going to line up. You guys can just take a look here for a second. I'm just going to line up so you can see the plus minus that I'm talking about on the so with your stylus or with your finger, whatever you've got, right here, right now we're on stitch 10,622 of 14,000. So we still have a little ways to go. But I'm just going to go back maybe 20, 30 stitches. And I'll be able to tell on the actual design if I'm close to where it stopped stitching. And I don't need to go back over where I've already stitched too much, just enough to kind of get it in place. So a few more. And then we can press start again and we can start stitching this out. Press our foot down, let it do a couple stitches, snip, there we go. That way we're not missing anything. I love this card. If you were to use metallic threads, wouldn't that be so nice? Okay, that's looking good. All right, how's this looking? Hey, look at this. We made our own lace. Now, I can feel a little bit, if it feels sticky, it means there's still some stabilizer in there. So I'm just going to give it another little wash away in the water here. I've just got it right behind me here. Because I don't want any of that gumming up the actual lace. So when it's wet, you'll be able to feel on your fingers if it's like gummy. Like it feels like melted sugar on your hands, kind of like that. A little sticky, a little gummy. And let's just get that. Yeah, that feels better. Give it a little dry off. Now, whoever you give this card to, they have to be very important to you because this is a lot of work. But it's also one of those ones that I bet, will stay on their mantle every single year. It's not a toss away card, this one, that's for sure. The other thing you could do is, if you wanted, you could put a little thread or some string right up here through this little hook. And then they could remove this from the front of the card and they could use it as an ornament. I think that's a great idea. Just leave them a little note in the card that they can do that. The design itself suggests that you hole punch here and here and you attach it with a brad. So that's up to you whether or not you want to do that step or not. But that's what it's suggesting we do. All right, it's almost finished going all the way around with that little scalloped border edge. Isn't that so cute? And I'm going to bring the green back for the very final, green's next, and then it has a little bit of what it's calling line work. So just probably a little bit more detail inside the joy. On my machine, it's telling me there's 6 more minutes left. And so I like that the machines will tell you how many stitches, how long it's going to take to do the design. And that's fine because it's giving us time to dry our little joy piece. Now you could bring this to the iron too, flatten it right down, give it a little press with the iron. That would look great. And I'm going to just go ahead and grab some. Do I like the idea of this being sticking right to the card, or do I want it to be an ornament? What do you guys think? Should it just adhere to the card, or should we make it an ornament? Let me know in the comments what your thought is. I kind of like the idea of them being able to take it off and use it as an ornament. It's so beautiful. Let's take a look at some of the other designs. Everybody who wants one can get a free OESD card design today. Just let us know in the comments if you would like the design, and we will email it to you. Our friends at OESD are making these available, and I'm going to, there we go. If you're continuing to tune in, we're going to be making the freestanding sugar chalet a little bit later. Isn't that so cute? One year I made the freestanding lace Christmas village, and which was, gorgeous. Oh boy, we don't need Sunwing Vacations Black Friday. We're doing our own Black Friday right now. There we go. Computers and the constant ads. So I'm going to show you if you're following me on YouTube and you type in Christmas Village, you'll see I have a tutorial on how I made the entire Christmas Village from OESD, which is all these little houses, and then you put them all together and they make up, like a porcelain village. And so this year I'm on to making the gingerbread village, which is why we're going to do that a little bit later. So I already made this one out of white. And so I thought I'd start this year with the gingerbreads, and then I'll have both. All right. Remember, 40% off designs at OESD. So we'll put some links in the comments. Okay. And we are back up with I'm going to use the green because now we're going to do the holly. And this is the last thread change of the project. And I'm excited to get this all together. All right, off we go. If you're just tuning in, I am making Christmas cards on my embroidery machine. And yeah, you can sew onto paper. I know we've done classes in the past where we've sewn directly onto the cardstock, but this was my first time using paper in the actual hoop, which is just so cool. It's been very easy to do. Just follow along the instructions. Of course, this video is going to stay posted. So if you need to come back to it at a different point, you can always do that and rewatch it as many times as you need to. No problem at all. We've just got a few minutes left on this design. I already made the lace. You can see just kind of standing there or sitting in the overhead. It's drying. And it says joy. And all of these cards have this sort of lace overlay or something similar that make it very, very special, unique. You know, it's the kind of thing, if you give this card, people are going to think, wow, you made this? So you've got a couple of different options. We're going to overlay that lace. So I've just got a few little brads here, and I just dug deep in my craft drawer. So what the instructions suggest is using a brad, ideally like a white one, or a green, whatever you've got, and you can put it through that center point and put it right through the card, kind of like this. Open it up. I also really like the idea of, you know, I've just got some twine here, of using like a little piece of ribbon. Maybe it wouldn't even need to be quite this thick. You could also just loop thread. But let's see what this looks like too. And then whoever you give it to could use it as an ornament, and they could take it off the front of the card, which would be kind of cool. Leave them a little note inside the card that they can take it off and put it on their tree. All right, come on, twine, off you come. Now, maybe this is a little too rustic for our beautiful lace. Oh, it's kind of cool. It's kind of braided. So we could loop this through the top like this, and we could stitch it on, tie it on, and make this a little ornament. And you know what? Like, and you decide. Maybe the twine's too rustic for how dainty the lace is, but you get what I'm saying. You could chain stitch on your serger, just white thread. Ooh, I think we're done. All right, off we come. Anyway, those are just some ideas of how you can handle the joy part of things. All right, I'm going to just move the machine over ever so slightly, so we have a bit more room to work here. All right, off it comes. Hey, we did a good job. And then this is going to go right over top like that. So now the scary part, taking it off the hoop. So save the pads of your fingers, your fingerprints, and use the screwdriver to unscrew it when it's really tight. Pop it out. And now you can see it's gone all through the back. And so we do have a little bit of work here to clean this up. Now we want to be careful not to rip any of the cards. So I'm going to get my rotary cutter. And maybe a small ruler. And just along the edge, get rid of the extra without tampering too much with the card front. Just want to make sure I don't. So those placement stitches are all coming off. Just use the scissors here, or I could bend it. I'm going to get really behind it, so I'm just going to use the scissors. So you've got a choice. You could put another piece of equal-sized cardstock just in behind so that the recipient doesn't see the back of the stitches. Or leave it as is. Remember, OESD on their website right now is having 40% off, but you all are getting this file for free. Just leave us a message in the comments that you would like the file, and we will email it to you if you put your email address down there, or if we don't already have it in our system, we will send you this embroidery file. And you could be making some of these cards yourself. Okay, so what's the verdict? Do we like the ornament idea, or do we want to put the brad directly through? Let's see. I've got a couple little like diamondy ones. No, that's not. Maybe that's okay. Dark green. Basically, the brad would hold it on and puncture directly through the front. So let's try that for now. I'm going to go right through. I'll get it going with my scissors. On the instructions, it says that you need like a special punch, but I don't have that punch and I'm not too worried about it. So as long as we get a hole there. And then I'm just going to fold open the little wire there. And now it's movable. There's another spot here. It's suggesting we put one, but I don't think it needs both. You could go ahead and put the ornament loop there. And if you wanted to make that into an ornament. We did it, you guys. All right. I hope you've been inspired to try making a Christmas card of your own on your embroidery machine. Isn't that cool? All that insane detail in the lace that we made. You know what, you could make some cards and then just go ahead and keep stitching out the lace and have your whole tree filled with these. So there's lots of ways that you could, yes, I used the card, or I made the cards, but use the file for more than just the cards. And you could do a garland full of lace and joy and Mary. And there's so many different files that come in this Christmas card collection from OESD. So definitely check out their website today, 40% off any designs that you want to download. And of course, we're going to give you this one for free, thanks to OESD, and we'll just send it right off to you. let us know that you want one. And if you're interested in an embroidery machine, we'd love to help you out. It's going to be a long winter. Wouldn't it be fun to just be snuggled in, doing your projects and being able to make some very, very cool things. If you don't know what you're doing when it comes to embroidery, then hey, Embroidery 101. We use these machines in Embroidery 101 and we send you everything you need to make 3 projects, plus do a bunch of practicing. And I know there's people on watching right now who've been in Embroidery 101. Let the new people know whether or not it was helpful. We've had so much great feedback, people taking Embroidery 101 and just plowing through the projects. We make some very cute things, little zip. We even do a zip pouch in the hoop where you lay the zipper down. That's the final project. You work your way up to that. We do dinner napkins. We embroider onto terry cloth towels, and we teach you all the ways that you can set your machine up for that success so that you can be making these very cool projects. No one will believe that you made this. We made it in under an hour. So there you go. Not bad. I appreciate you tuning in. We've got lots more coming up, so stay with us. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.